Bitch, you called me. I didn't call you.
I don't give a I did not call you.
I did. Okay, bye. Bye.
I got more
Bye.
than you.
You should start the bitch out before
Bitch, you right now.
Them hoes ain't even about you. Them hoes that you in the gut, bitch.
We was trying together.
We was trying
together. Yeah,
Oh my God. You won't believe the season we just witnessed on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta? Honey, let me tell you, it was absolutely everything, with viewers practically glued to their screens week after week, desperate to catch what the one and only Saucy Santana would do next. This fabulous force of nature, part rapper, part singer, and full-time social media icon, didn't just join the cast, he dominated it. With his unapologetically fierce attitude, fashion choices that left us gagging, and that mouth that spilled more tea than a Boston Harbor party, Santana wasn't just making waves, he was causing tsunamis. The way he commanded attention on that show? Child, it was like watching a masterclass in star power. But you know what they say about flying too close to the sun? That same larger-than-life personality that made him shine so bright would eventually lead to his spectacular downfall. From the moment Santana strutted onto Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, it was pure fireworks. The cameras weren't just loving him, they were obsessed. Every single one-liner that dropped from his lips turned to pure gold. And don't even get me started on those feuds with the other cast members. They were giving us life. His music, honey, those catchy hooks paired with fierce bars had everyone talking. Saucy Santana wasn't just a star, he was a whole constellation. But you know how it goes in this game? The higher you climb, the harder they come for you. Nobody, and I mean nobody, stays drama-free in the love and hip-hop universe for long. The tension started simmering way before everything exploded. Our queen of shade was throwing it left and right, spilling piping hot tea about everything from his castmates' music careers to their personal lives.
Decline, wait, what are you talking
That's
about?
why I declined being on the thing that you producing, because I felt like it was gonna be some clap.
Wait, hold, no, my ain't no clown. So let's start over.
Everybody is
No, my
everybody.
ain't never
Yes,
no clown. I
big
don't
clown
do
team.
No,
Like,
it's
that's what
not
it
no
is.
clown. I'm producing an album. So if somebody want to get out there feeling, it's not no clown. It was never no clown.
They doing bitches was on there taking jabs at each other. And you know what's so
Do you
funny?
know what you're
When I told
Do you know what your streaming is like on Spotify?
Yes, I do.
I got more streaming on than you.
I have more streaming than everybody else on the project.
Don't do that.
Oh, you can't. People, a real artist.
Don't do that.
Bitch, you called me. I didn't call you.
I don't give a I did not call you.
I did. Okay, bye. Bye.
I got more streaming than you. You're a TikTok.
That's why you need to win.
Bitch, stop.
Yo, look, oh, that's all.
That sharp tongue of his, it became his trademark, darling, but it also made him as many enemies as fans. It wasn't long before his explosive personality started causing some serious friction with the other stars. Then came that night, one of the most anticipated parties of the season. You know the type, designer outfits everywhere, champagne flowing like water, and enough tension in the air to cut with a knife. Santana had already been going toe-to-toe with one of the show's biggest names. We're talking about someone who could serve both grace and fury on a silver platter. Their beef had been marinating for weeks, getting spicier with each episode. That night, baby, it was time for the main course. It all kicked off with Santana throwing shade so dark it could eclipse the sun. His words? They weren't just sharp, they were straight up lethal. But honey, his rival wasn't about to take that lying down. They clapped back with a response that had everyone's jaws on the floor.
Bitch, you saying that this table because of me. Bitch, I keep very mother.
Sitting at this table because of me.
No.
You sitting at this table because of me. But I could have did this without you. I took that the first place. Shout out to Bambi. Shout out to going to jail. What's wrong with you? Bitch, you right now.
Them hoes ain't give a about you. Them hoes that you in the dust, bitch.
What's the latest song we did? What's the latest hot song? Okay, cool. Bye, bye, bye. Bye, bye, bye.
Bye, bye, bye. Yes.
Welcome to Atlanta. Welcome to this me. This me. Because of me now. Thank you for your service.
What happened next was pure chaos. The insults started flying back and forth like designer handbags at a sample sale. Both of them were getting louder and louder, drawing everyone's attention like moths to a flame. Then, in a moment that had everyone shook, things went from reality TV drama to real-world dangerous. The cameras caught every single second as Santana completely lost it and lunged at his rival. Security jumped in faster than you can say, cut, Zrina. But Chile, the damage was already done. This party that was supposed to be giving us celebration realness had turned into something straight out of a horror show, broadcast live for millions to watch. Behind those expensive curtains, the producers were having a full-on meltdown. What started as ratings gold had turned into their worst nightmare, complete with bad press and behavior that crossed every line in the book. As they tried desperately to salvage what was left of the evening, they knew they had some serious decisions to make about the future of the show. The following days were absolute madness. While the producers went into crisis mode, the rest of the cast was kept in the dark, wondering what would happen next. The big question hanging over everyone's heads was whether they'd let Santana stay and risk more drama or cut him loose and deal with the fallout. In the end, they dropped the hammer. Saucy Santana was fired from Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. The network's statement was colder than last season's fashion. Due to ongoing disruptions and a failure to adhere to the standards of conduct required on the show, Saucy Santana's contract has been terminated. The news spread through the reality TV world like wildfire. For Santana, it was a moment of shock mixed with a dash of saw that coming. He knew his fierce personality could cut both ways, but losing his spot on the show, that wasn't part of the plan. And honey, when he took to social media to respond, he did not hold back. He went in on those producers, accusing them of using his personality for ratings and then throwing him away when things got too real. His Instagram post became instant legend. "They can kick me off, but they can't take my crown." The fans were divided. Some stood firmly behind their queen, while others thought he'd finally crossed that line you just don't cross. But here's the real gag. This wasn't the end of Saucy Santana's story. Not even close. Like a phoenix rising from the ashes in designer heels, he turned this setback into a comeback. He threw himself into his music, dropping singles that had streaming platforms on fire, collaborating with major artists, and proving he was so much more than just reality TV drama. His music videos, pure art, dripping with confidence and that signature Santana flair. He transformed himself from reality star to cultural icon, representing defiance, creativity, and staying true to yourself no matter what. While Love and Hip Hop Atlanta might have introduced him to the masses, Santana made it crystal clear he was destined for bigger things. Was his exit from the show messy? Absolutely. But darling, his impact on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta will be felt for seasons to come. He shook things up, served drama on a silver platter, and left an impression that had everyone talking. For better or worse, Saucy Santana proved what we all suspected. You can't dim a star that's meant to shine. The only question left on everyone's lips is, what will this unstoppable force do next? Because if there's one thing we know about Saucy Santana, it's that he always has another trick up his designer sleeve. And honey, we'll all be watching. It truly was one of those seasons of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta that will go down in history. Every single week, viewers were on the edge of their seats, biting their nails, wondering what kind of drama Saucy Santana would serve up next. This flamboyant superstar wasn't just making waves, he was creating tsunamis with every appearance. From the moment he stepped onto our screens, it was clear we weren't dealing with just another cast member. That unapologetic attitude, those fashion choices that left us gagging, and chilly, those unfiltered opinions that had everyone clutching their pearls. Santana wasn't just stealing scenes, he was owning them. His rise to fame on the show was nothing short of spectacular, with that larger-than-life personality hypnotizing both viewers and castmates alike. But you know what they say, the bigger the personality, the harder the fall. That same fierce confidence and that mouth that never met a filter it liked, they turned out to be the ingredients for his eventual downfall. The way Santana burst onto Love and Hip Hop Atlanta was like 4th of July fireworks in December, unexpected, explosive, and impossible to ignore. Honey, those cameras lived for him. Every single one-liner that dropped from his lips turned into pure social media gold. Those feuds with other cast members, they weren't just entertaining, they were giving us life. And let's talk about his music for a minute. Those catchy hooks paired with fierce bars had everyone hitting that replay button. Saucy Santana wasn't just a star, he was a whole galaxy. But in the Love and Hip Hop universe, peace never lasts long. The drama started brewing like a pot of Sunday tea long before everything exploded. Our Queen of Shade wasn't just throwing it, he was serving it with a side of truth, spilling piping hot tea about everything from his castmates' music careers to their personal lives. That razor-sharp tongue of his became his calling card, darling, but it also turned into a double-edged sword. Before long, that volatile personality was causing more friction than a sample sale at Fashion Week. Then came that night, one of those parties that promised to deliver all the drama we'd come to expect, and then some. Picture it, designer outfits everywhere, champagne flowing like water, and enough tension in the air to power a small city. Santana had been feuding with one of the show's biggest stars, someone who knew how to serve both grace and fury with a side of class. Their beef had been simmering for weeks, getting spicier with each episode, until that night when it finally reached its boiling point. The confrontation kicked off with Santana throwing shade so dark it could have caused an eclipse. His words weren't just cutting, they were surgical. But his rival? Baby, they weren't about to take that lying down. They clapped back with a response that had everyone's jaws on the floor. What followed was pure chaos. The insults were flying faster than designer bags at an outlet sale. Both of them got louder and louder, drawing a crowd like paparazzi to a celebrity wedding. Then, in a moment that had everyone shook to their core, things went from reality TV drama to real-world dangerous. Those cameras caught everything as Santana completely lost it and lunged at his rival. Security jumped in faster than you can say ratings gold, but Chile, the damage was already done. This party that was supposed to be giving us celebration realness had turned into something straight out of a horror show, broadcast live for millions to witness. Behind those expensive curtains, the producers were having a complete meltdown. What started as entertainment gold had turned into their worst nightmare, complete with bad press and behavior that crossed every line in the book. As they desperately tried to salvage what was left of the evening, they knew they had some serious decisions to make about the show's future. The aftermath? Pure madness. While the producers went into crisis mode, the rest of the cast was kept in the dark, wondering what bomb would drop next. The big question hanging over everyone's heads was whether they'd let Santana stay and risk more drama, or cut him loose and deal with the fallout. In the end, they made their choice. Saucy Santana was fired from Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. The network's statement hit harder than last season's reunion show. Due to ongoing disruptions and a failure to adhere to the standards of conduct required on the show, Saucy Santana's contract has been terminated. But if you thought that was the end of this story, child, you don't know Saucy Santana. Like a phoenix rising from the ashes in designer heels, he turned this setback into a comeback. His social media response? Legendary. His moves after the show? Even more iconic. He proved that you can kick him off a show, but you can't take away his crown. This wasn't just another reality TV exit. It was the beginning of something even bigger. Santana took all that energy and channeled it into his music, dropping singles that had streaming platforms, shook, collaborating with major artists, and proving he was so much more than just reality TV drama. His legacy on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta? Unforgettable. His impact on the culture? Undeniable. And his story? Still being written, honey. Because if there's one thing we know about Saucy Santana, it's that he always has another trick up his designer's sleeve, and trust and believe we'll all be watching to see what he does next.